Hello viewers, here is a General Electric cordless speakerphone model 2-9626. I picked this up today at the OK Will for $15, which is pretty reasonable. I get a good number of questions asking what the value of certain things are, and I really don't have an answer to that question. What I will say is that when it comes to technology, there's generally like a value curve. If you're going to put it on a graph, it's kind of like a valley, right? When it first comes out, it's worth a certain number of dollars, and then as it becomes so-called obsolete or a couple of years old, the value starts to go down, and then that decrease eventually will bottom out and then reverse. And as it gets to a certain number of years, with technology that seems to be around 30 years, generally speaking, the value starts to go up as the equipment ages and the scarcity increases. A bunch of these cordless phones from the 90s are starting to get there, particularly a bunch of the AT&T models from the late 80s and early 90s. Some of those are becoming more sought after, and the value curve on those is starting to go up. Actually, I think it's going up pretty rapidly because the devices are quickly becoming extinct. This one probably was not very good quality. If this is really worth $15 or not, I don't know. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is, what is a buyer willing to pay? And that, I don't have the answer to that. What I'm willing to pay is different than what other people are willing to pay. I was willing to pay $15 for this, knowing that the video, the camera and the video is going to make me at least $15 and pay for this. Would I pay $15 just to have this sit on my shelf? I don't think I could afford to spend that, but in this case I was, which is one of the really cool things about doing these videos. Anyways, so all that aside, the reason why this caught my attention, partly because it has the box and I really like boxes, but partly because this handset triggered a memory in my mind of a telephone that my grandparents used to have in the kitchen. That telephone was also a General Electric phone. Just as a side note, my grandparents in the 90s and the 2000s bought General Electric phone after General Electric phone, and they broke and they broke and they kept buying General Electric phones, and I have no idea why, but that's what happened. And so another General Electric phone comes along. It looked very similar to this one. It was a corded phone, and the handset was very similar. The buttons were, as far as I can tell, identical, except they were like a gray color. And I remember it had those two lights on the top to light up the keyboard in a low lighting situation. And I remember using this telephone vividly. The telephone I'm describing, not this one here in the box. Just another piece about that telephone that was kind of unusual. The corded telephone that my grandparents had, the handset coil cord from the handset to the base was a RJ11 jacked cord. It was not an RJ7. Not an RJ7, 9. Oh, I'm getting confused now. Was it 9? I think it's 9 and 7. Whatever the bigger one is, the line cord that typically would go from the wall to the phone, that's the size that it was, which is very unusual. Typically the handset cord is a little bit smaller, and so sometimes I used to take the handset coil cord off and I would put just like a regular line cord on there because you could. Just one of the stupid things that I did around there. Anyways, before we go any further, I want to see if we can get this sticker off without damaging the box, because I mostly bought this for the box. I partially don't even expect the telephone to work at all, and if it does, it probably doesn't work very well. But I like the box. As long as we get to this soon, we should be able to get this off without damaging the graphics. It looks like we're going to be successful. Cool. Great. Okay. So this sticker is dated 8/27/2024. Today is 8/28, so it was only sitting on the shelf for a day. It probably would have sat there for longer. I think, at least for the average person, this is not something that would sell. I've seen other cordless phones sit there for a while. Anyways, so this originally sold at Bradley's, which is a store that I remember, although it hasn't been around here for a very long time. And it would have cost $97.88. I don't know what year, I don't know exactly what year this is from, but let's just say 1995. It's going to be from somewhere around there. If you take 100 hours in 1995 and you inflate it to today, it's about 200 hours. The rate's about 100% from 95 to 2024. So if you were to buy this today, it would have cost about 200 hours, which is still a lot of money. But I don't feel like that inflation number is really accurately capturing the burden of purchase. And I feel like a lot of things have gone up, for one, disproportionately to wages, and number two, have started to cost more than 100% of what they did in '94. I would say in the last 10 years, there's a bunch of things I could think of that have gone up 100% or more. And so I guess what I'm saying is that the actual inflation number might be 100%, but I think in terms of what you take out of your pocket, in terms of in relation to everything else you buy plus what you're making, I think it's way more than that. I would say maybe $300 or $400 even. In some scenarios, it's getting that bad. It's just, it is what it is. So the point is, this was extremely expensive back in the day. That was a lot of money to spend on a telephone. And through the 90s, although a decent number of people had them, not necessarily the layperson. Cordless phones were still a novelty in the 90s. It wasn't really until like the late 90s, early 2000s that the prices really started to come down and you could buy one for, you know, lower double-digit prices. And this, of course, General Electric was never the best name in telephones. I would argue it was one of the worst. And so this was not exactly a top-of-the-line model. This was probably one of the cheaper ones that you could get at the time. So, it has speakerphone convenience, 10-number memory, 10 channels, two-way page and intercom. Now this is being advertised as a cordless speakerphone, and I think that that's a very misleading thing to say, because the speakerphone is not cordless. The speakerphone is only on the base. On the back of the box we have a list of features. And we have a date code right there, 2301K. I doubt that this would have made it into 2001. 900 megahertz was way on the scene by 2001. I mean, could it have? I suppose. I don't know. That seems kind of late in the game to me. Curiously, this is made in Malaysia, which historically, from my experience, makes very good quality electronics. Thomson Consumer Electronics. Thomson did not make the best phones in the 2000s. Maybe it was better during this era. I really don't know. This is my first time working with something like this. Speakerphone base. Notice about interference. Cordless telephone has crystal clear sound. Has a range warning. That's kind of interesting. consumer replaceable battery and antenna. The replaceable antenna was kind of a big deal because these antennas were known to break just because it was so big to have on a portable device. Well, let's take a look at this and see what we got here. I actually am having a little more confidence in this, actually a lot more confidence in this now that I know it's made in Malaysia. I was expecting it to be made in China. Well, it looks like it's going to be used, but not excessively. I think we're going to say it's used very lightly, and it has a manual in here for a fiery beaver microwave oven. This is not shut. Here we go. This is the instruction manual for the model FM frequency modulation FMO 07ABTBKA microwave oven. No, we don't need that. It's got a little circle there. Here's the telephone itself. Maybe we'll get lucky and this has actually been plugged in for the last 20 years. Probably is more likely to work if it was. We've got a bunch of some damaged stuff here. It probably was with the wrapped around something initially. Quick setup guide. Daily use. Once fully charged, the cordless handset can be left out of the recharge cradle for extended periods. However, return it to the recharge cradle periodically to keep a proper charge. It's kind of interesting to see how different manufacturers handled the battery memory, because that was an issue at the time. A lot of these telephones were using nickel cadmium batteries, which had a memory effect, and certain manufacturers would tell you to leave it off the cradle until it runs out to avoid that. And other manufacturers would tell you to just put it back on there as much as possible. Here's the full manual. Oh, something just fell out of the manual. It's a nice full color, kind of like semi-gloss paper. Wouldn't that have been cheap to print this? Got some graphics in there. Let's see, does it say what the talk time would be on this? This is, it should be charged at 12 or more hours before use. It doesn't say how long, or at least it hasn't said it yet that I've seen, how long the charge time is. Talking about replacing the battery, but it doesn't say, gives you the number and so forth, but it doesn't tell you what, how long it lasts. The replacement battery costs $12.95 and replacement antenna costs $9.95. $12.95 for a battery is quite a bit. It's actually less now. The batteries have become fairly cheap due to online retailers making them more readily accessible. Got a couple of these memory cards to write the speed dials on. I got this one for the base, and we've got this. Oh, it's the same thing. Alright, so it looks like everything is here except for the packaging for the telephone. The power supply is inside the unit, which is kind of nice, so I just have a regular AC cord. 6 watts input. What it says, made in Malaysia. I think our first order here is going to see what we got for batteries. Yeah, it's definitely been used, but it's very lightly used and kept clean. I hope there's no battery in here. Oh no! There's a battery in here and it's very severely corroded. Not good. The corrosion is going all the way to the plug. I can see it. Oh man. Alright, this might be a fatality here. Even this screw is kind of not workable because of all the corrosion. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get this off without drilling it or some other invasive and risky move. Is it a... It's only a Phillips, it's not a flathead as well. It looks like it's generally still there. We just got to find a driver that really fits it good. That's not it. There we go. Oh, I hate when this happens. This telephone has been so nicely preserved over all these years, and now this stupid battery might be the fatality of it. It's all swollen, it doesn't even want to come out. That's a long shot, that battery. The battery leads just broke right off of it because it's so corroded. Or at least the high side did anyways. Let's see if we can get this unplugged and find out what kind of damage is in there. This is not easily accessible at all. Plug is pretty well stuck on there. That's not a good sign. I can't even get it. Oh boy. This is not looking good. I'm not going to give up until we see rotted traces, but it is not looking good here. The fact that I can't get this plug out is very concerning. I might have to take the phone apart. Oh, there we go. I just got it. Okay, so the corrosion does go to the it does go onto the contacts. I think we're just going to go ahead and take the handset apart. Get this mess out of here. Let's take the handset apart, see how far it goes. It doesn't seem like it's totally crazy. We might get lucky on this one. We can just clean it out and get back in business here. I hope. Looks like this will be the first time that we've worked on any telephones at this studio. I'm glad I'm finally getting back to the telephone stuff. I really enjoy it. Alright, how does this come apart? Easily. That's nice. This older stuff is usually easier to work on. The boards are more simple. The construction is larger, comes apart easier. That zoomed in too much. Jeez, I gotta pay attention here. What's the point in making a video if you can't see anything? Okay, so, well, that actually doesn't look too bad. The corrosion does go past it does go onto the thing there, but it doesn't look too crazy. We're gonna have to lift the board out of here to take a look at the other side. Looks like we've got maybe just another 3 screws to do that. Are there more screws that I'm missing? No, it seems like it's ready to come on. It's getting stuck on something though. Getting stuck on that piezo? No, it's getting stuck on this wire here. I have to cut this wire tie off and try to pull it apart. is just barely enough for me to take a peek in here and see what we got going on. I actually think we might be alright. I think we're going to be okay. It's onto the solder joints, but the trace doesn't look totally shot. So we'll definitely need to clean it out. But I think for a test, it should work. We got a battery that will fit this. We need it's calling this 3 1/2 AA batteries. 3.7 volts with that type of plug. I should have something that will fit in there. In the box of cordless phone batteries, which I can't get to because there's so much stuff on the floor. And that was all cleaned up, and that lasted about 2 weeks. Now it's just as bad as it ever was. Let's see here. Got it. Okay. Oh no. Alright, here we go. Here's the box of cordless phone batteries. So we just need a 3.6. This is the right plug type of that battery. It's not going to have a charge. Let's see. Wonder if we can just jam this in there. Probably not. I'm gonna have to replace the plug on whatever battery I use because the corrosion is gonna enter. I don't even know what side is supposed to be the high side on this because the plug is so deteriorated. Looks like that might be the black wire on the left. Let's see here. I'm not getting anything here. It's possible that this battery's out of charge. It's also possible that the terminals will need to be cleaned before they're going to work. Let's plug in the base. See if that even works before we spend too much time on it. So it's indicating that the line's in use, which makes sense because it's not plugged in. It doesn't know the difference. It seems to work. Oh, do I have another one with that kind of plug? I have another battery with that type of plug, I can tell. So this would go in there like that. So the high side should go on the right. Maybe I had the battery plugged in backwards. And yes, this is wrong to plug the wrong type of plug in here, but the way I look at this is that these batteries are not going to get any easier to find. So if we have to bend the plug a bit to fit the batteries that we can still buy, then we'll bend the plug a little bit to fit the batteries we can still buy and continue to enjoy the telephone. Could I cut the plug off and resolder the plug onto the new battery? I suppose. But we don't even have the plug in this case. The plug is gone. I'm not getting any signs of life here. Let's see if it charges. Does it have a charge indicator? Does it not? How could it not have a charge indicator? Display lights for... No, it doesn't have a display light for charge. That's kind of bizarre. Almost all of them have a display light for charge. It's not showing any signs of life here. It could be that these contacts are corroded. They look pretty corroded. They might not be making a contact. Do I have any batteries that I know are charged up? Flux a new one, I thought. I feel like we're not getting any power into this telephone. Here we go. These batteries I know are working. This one's kind of old. I'll use this one, but I know it works. Still not getting anything. It's possible that the trace that the power goes into is spoiled. I'll have to try to get this apart even further now, so we can really take a good look. So now this wire up here is holding it in. So it's got two boards in there. This is the antenna wire. We're just going to have to cut it. I'll put it back. Alright, so what do we got down here? Yeah, this is looking pretty bad actually. It's simple enough that I could probably jump it out, because I think what we've got here is we have, these are the two battery terminals right here. This trace looks okay over to that resistor there. I believe it's a resistor, and then this trace would go see that right there might be shot. This side, actually there might be multiple. This might be going over to here, and this looks like it's going at least to here, potentially up into here as well. So yeah, this is this might be a more complicated one. There's something on there which is preventing me from seeing what's going on here. Yeah, I think we might have a bad trace there, because the board is just peeling up, and that usually means that we got trouble. So this, I think we're going to say, is damaged from the battery corrosion. And of course there's no schematic when you're working with stuff like this, so you got to just figure this out, which we'll have to sit down and do in greater detail at a different time. It's too late at night now to deal with this, but that stinks. Yeah, this trace is all bubbly up here, and It's not good. So I'll have to take some isopropyl alcohol, clean all this up, and then hopefully once it's a little bit cleaner, we can kind of make out where the traces go, and hopefully, since this is just 2 power ones, we can jump them over and fix this. Unfortunately, these battery failures, you know, we're just going to start seeing more and more of these over time as the batteries sit in the phones and the phones sit unused and the batteries just spoil and ruin the board. It's a shame. You know, collecting electronics is an uphill battle because the stuff, as it ages, just typically has more and more problems. And it's not because of build issues or anything like that. It's just that a lot of these electronic components have a limited lifespan, capacitors, etc., batteries, and it reaches a point where all that stuff has to get replaced. So for now, we're just going to put this back together, throw it on the shelf as a nice display piece, and maybe this is the type of thing that we'll revisit sometime in the winter, in the lull of winter when you can't go outside, can't use fans, can't use air conditioner. This makes a good winter indoor project. Now that we know it doesn't work, was it worth $15? Probably not. But I'll get my enjoyment out of the box at least. I wonder if that's the charging indicator right there. I bet it is. That's probably the charge indicator. Yeah, that would make sense. It's on the handset. So, one thing we could try, just out of a curiosity to see if this is going to show any signs of life, we can just clean these, we should clean these contacts because they're very dirty. Let me get some isopropyl alcohol, clean those contacts, and just see if we can get the charge light to come on. I got some isopropyl alcohol. Let's put some isopropyl alcohol in this ticker towel and see if we can get these charging contacts to clean up a little bit. They're pretty badly corroded, or oxidized rather. They're not really corroded, they're oxidized. We might have to just scrape it with a screwdriver because it's so bad. Oh duh, I just realized that these are not lights. In the introduction video of the video, I said these are lights, and that's not true. The telephone that my grandparents had, it looked exactly like this, and they were lights. But this inherently is charging contacts. These are not coming clean. We're just gonna have to kind of scrape them clean with a screwdriver. And it's quite dirty. And what might even work too is some little piece of sanding paper. I had some here somewhere recently. I was just using it for the fixing fan. Here it is. That should at least make contact now. Alright, now those contacts at least have a chance at working. Let's see how the ones on the base are. They're actually pretty good. Now some units the battery does not have to actually be in there for the charge light to come on. I don't know how this one works. I'm not familiar enough with General Electric stuff from the era. Let's see. No, we're not getting anything. I'm pretty sure that this is not working because of the busted up trace. Almost completely certain that that's our problem. Yeah, I think that trace is bad. Alright, well, that stinks, but sometimes that happens. So, for now, we'll just go ahead and put this back into the box, and we'll save this for another day. Try to clean this piece up a little bit. This battery lock-in thing. I don't know why the heck this is so corroded. It's not even in contact with the parts of the battery that were corroded. It's kind of weird. Jeez, this is terrible. Well, that bites. But that's what we're working with, so. Oh well. Might be able to be fixed. We'll see. It's too bad because it's really in pretty good shape. Looks like it was very lightly used. But as we said before, it's the stuff that looks nice that usually doesn't work. And such is remaining true here. Batteries strike again. Here's a look at the spoiled battery. It's a 3.5 AA-W. I guess that would mean 3 1/2 height AA width batteries, which is what it looks like. Do I have any? I have some AAA. Yeah, it probably is about half the height of an AA battery. 3.6 volts, 270 milliamps. Now, interestingly, this was a Sanyo branded battery. I guess made in Japan. It says Japan on the front and the back, which that I would consider as top of the line. So it goes to show that even the best of the best batteries can eventually have a failure. Here's a look at the spoiled battery. It's a nickel cadmium battery, 3.6 volts, 3.5 AA-W. It is about the size like a 3.5 height, or 3.5 height. No, what? No, 75. Oh, screw it. I don't know what that means. Here's a look at the spoiled battery. It's 3.5 AA-W. I guess 3.5 AA means 3 1/2 size AA with batteries. 3.6 volt, 200. Take three.